Hello everyone, I'm Celsius. Nice to meet you here again. Today I would like to introduce you a very interesting SUV. Talk about SUV. What you thought? Toyota RAV4, Mitsubishi Outlander, Nissan X-Trail, Nissan Rogue, or maybe BMW X3, maybe Mercedes-Benz GLC. You ever thought which SUV has the frame, the leather frame? Okay, maybe just Mercedes-Benz G-Class, maybe Range Rover, maybe Land Cruiser. Okay, the SUV comes about 30 years, maybe 40 years around, but people like you got off-road looking, but not off-road ability, because 95%, maybe 99% the SUV user won't drive an SUV to really off-road situation. But today our character is 100% off-road ability with this SUV. Which SUV we would like to introduce? This is a very interesting car. Let's take a look and talk about this car. The third generation Suzuki Grand Vitara. The Suzuki is the pioneer of the small SUV. The very first Suzuki SUV called the Suzuki ESCUDO, which was presented in 1989. It has a very small, compact car body, but it has the totally frame. It has a very good ability when off-road. However, when the CR-V and the RV4 first generation presented in 1994, people like such car more. You have the chassis from the sedan, and you have the off-road looking. People like that. Okay, we won't drive it to off-road, but we like to looks like off-roader. So many new SUV comes the same way. For example, the Land Rover Freelander. For example, Nissan X-Trail, Mitsubishi Air-Track, Mitsubishi Outlander, BMW X5, BMW X3. There are very few new SUV come with the total frame, such as Mercedes-Benz, the very first generation ML class. But sooner, Mercedes-Benz noticed that people don't like that car. So you can see the second generation Mercedes-Benz ML is the normal chassis from the sedan, not with the frame. Okay, how about Suzuki? The very first generation ESCUDO has the fully frame in its chassis. The second generation also keep this tradition. What else? The second generation ESCUDO is for the US market, so it got a very great look at our exterior and interior, and has a more bigger engine for its power. However, people will think this is not a good looking car outside of America. So the Suzuki like to redesign the third generation of Grand Vitara. And this generation has a very interesting connect with the first generation. You can see the outline of this exterior is much close to the first generation. You can neglect the second generation. The third generation Suzuki Grand Vitara, the exterior and interior has no relationship with the second generation. It has many characters from the first generation. For example, the bonnet. This design and this air intake inspired from the first generation. That's very interesting, which has a very powerful, very strong exterior, just like the first generation. And the interior, the cockpit and the interior outline is also comes inspired from the first generation. You can see it. It is totally different from the second generation. And what's more, the engine is a little different from the second generation. The third generation in Europe has the 1.6 and 2.0. And in Asia and America has the 2.7 V6 engine. Which we see now is the Taiwan officially imported third generation Grand Vitara, which uses 2.7 V6 engine. It has 184 horsepower and a very good 4WD system. This generation, it may not have a fully frame, but it used body in frame. It still has the frame, but with the monocoque body design. But there is a very easy to use 4WD switcher built in its cockpit, just like here. You just switch here. You can change the N and the 4H lock and 4L lock. But it is a very pity that I have no idea how to get 4WD system. I have no idea. I didn't drive a car to off-road, so I don't know how it's performance like. I don't know, and I didn't touch it anymore. This car is my best friend's car, and when he gave me, it still take here the 4H. I don't know what's different about 4H and N. I don't know. Maybe N just 2WD. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm sorry. I can't introduce very detailedly. But there is a very interesting place that there is a very big ESP switch. I just checked the magazine. Magazine say this switch comes from the Jeep. It comes from the Chrysler. But I don't know why. During this period, the Suzuki has many relationship with the GM. But why they use the Chrysler switch, I have no idea. And Taiwan ever built the first generation ESCUDO, the second generation Grand Vitara. But this is the third generation, which is fully imported from Japan. So the name comes to Grand Vitara JP, means it is a Japan design, Japan made. And this car is US spec. You can see the front ignition lamp has yellow decoration. Right, this the American lamp. And what else? The interior, the speedometer has the Canada design. What's called a Canada design? Okay, let's switch the engine. Okay, you see the speedometer has kmh at the outside and mph at the inside, which is Canada spec. And what else? We got the air condition with degree Celsius, not degree Fahrenheit, which is also the Canada spec. So I think this car is Canada spec. Actually, in Taiwan, we like to use the kmh with the degree Celsius. It's more convenience. If you drive a pure 100% US spec, you have to thought, okay, what's mph to kph, what's Fahrenheit to degree Celsius. And what else? This car has the 5-speed automatic transmission. If this is a 4-cylinder, you just use the 4-speed transmission box, which is not very sufficient for this car. But actually, this car has a VLX 6 engine. It got a very good horsepower and very quiet when driving. But however, we got the tax regulation level. In Taiwan, we had 600 cc per level. This car is the tax of this car just the same as those cars around 3000 cc. So this car may be not very expensive, but you have to burden more tax every year. This car was officially imported in Taiwan since December 2005. And that period, what SUV we can choose in Taiwan? We got a CR-V, we got a Mitsubishi Outlander, we got a Nissan X-Trail. But however, the CR-V and the Outlander is 2.4, which has a lower tax paid per year. And we have RAV4 in 2008, which also uses the 2.4 engine. The tax burden is not as well as this car. So when the third generation Grand Vitara got the minor change, the Suzuki uses 3.2 to replace this 2.7 V6 and a 2.4 to replace the 2.0. And at that while, Taiwan imported the 2.4 to replace this 2.7, which is got more easier when every year we pay the tax. However, that car is 4-cylinder. It got just 4AT, which is a little bit out of fashion. And the oil consumption is not as well as those cars which uses the CVT. So this car may has a good sale when they presented the very first in 2006, 2007, 2008 in Taiwan. But after 2008, the Toyota RAV4 presented in Taiwan as well, and this car has a little bit out of fashion. So this car sales is not very well later years. And we can see the 4th generation VITARA was fully model changed, which has no frame in the chassis, and the built-in planet is not in Japan. The Taiwan has the latest SUZUKI VITARA, which comes from the Hungary. It means Europe design, Europe made, but actually it was made by Hungary, and that's very interesting. And it is not the 100% off-roader because it doesn't has the fully frame in the 4th generation. This 3rd generation Grand Vitara has the built-in frame, so it has certain ability when off-road, but actually it is not very comfortable on road. That is inevitable. This car sells not very expensive in Taiwan. When they first presented it in 2005 Taipei Motor Show, it got 108.6 NT dollars. Of course, the actually is 1,000,086 NT dollars, which is not very expensive, and it got 2.7 V6 engine. And later we got the basic model, which is reduced to 0.91 million Taiwan dollars. It's bargain, but it is without like moonroof, cruise control, many equipment is not on the basic model, but it's very popular because it is very cheap. However, when RAV4 get imported from Japan since 2008, people will like Toyota much more. We have to respect that Toyota is very well at selling. The SUZUKI was founded for the K car in 1950s, and the SUZUKI first 4WD cars is the 1970 Suzuki 1st generation Jimny. So far, the latest Jimny is very popular in Taiwan and in the rest market, which has a very high second-hand value. Actually, I don't know why. But however, the Grand Vitara is not exist now. Now we just got the SUZUKI VITARA. There's no Grand Vitara. That's a pity. But which means that people don't like the off-road ability for this city use SUV now. So what's the next generation Vitara? I believe it will be another city use sedan chassis SUV as well. This car, this 3rd generation Grand Vitara may be the last generation for the body in frame and fully 4WD ability for SUZUKI. I like this car actually. It is not very expensive, and it has not a very expensive value as well in the second-hand price. This is my best friend's car who just bought it, and I enjoy this car very well. And I would like to show you this car through this video. Thanks for your watching, and I hope we will see you again with more interesting cars. I'm Celsius. See you again. Bye bye.